Hey, welcome back everyone. So it is finally time for us to address the big issue with the Mustang. So in the previous episode we did get the entire interior finished up and cleaned up. There's still a lot of like little cleaning up that we got to do, like on the roll bar maybe. Continue with a little bit of clay barring on that. Finish kind of vacuuming out the car and really getting maybe a little bit more steam cleaning on a lot of the touch surfaces that have a lot of overspray. But today we're actually going to be working on the paint. So it is finally time to really work on the paint. There's just scratches all over the car. And then just a ton of like orange peel. So I went ahead and talking to a good buddy of mine who owns a detail shop. He recommended me, a ton of good parts. So we got some really nice, very expensive sandpaper to wet sand with. We got some wet sand blocks of different foaminess and softness. We got our 3-stage correction polishes here. So we got our max, our medium, and our lowest. We have pretty much every single pad that you would want, starting from the most aggressive to the slightly less aggressive to your medium kind of finisher pad to like the ultimate polishing pad. We got a pad cleaner. We got some more sandpaper there. And of course, the big elephant in the room, we even got ourselves a polisher. So I will not be doing the polishing as much as I want to do it myself and kind of learn how to do it. This one I kind of phoned a friend and he's gonna come over. I'm gonna provide him with all the tools. Unfortunately, he did not have his tools available to him, so I just went ahead and just bought them all because eventually I do want to just do this myself and kind of quit relying on a lot of people. So first step is to get the entire garage cleaned up so we can have some good moving around space and get the car outside, give it a quick little rinse down because it has been kind of building up a little bit of dust and dirt here and there, so you can kind of just see the grossness that's been building up on it. We'll give the car a quick wash, get it out into the light. That way when he shows up, he can have a good visual representation of where the paint's at. If he wants to wet sand it, we'll wet sand it. If he thinks that we can get away with just doing like a good aggressive buff, we'll go ahead and do that. Now, I'm not really going to go after glass on this car, judging from the paint job. I don't want to push it where we burn through the clear coat either. So I think if we have to, we'll just do, a wool pad and then finish it off after that. But maybe some areas we will be doing a little bit of wet sanding. So I just made sure that I covered those bases and I got all those materials just in case. So let me get this car out, get it all rinsed off and cleaned up, and get it in some nice sunlight. So when my buddy David, he shows up, he can inspect the entire car and he can see exactly what he's working with. Okay, cool. So I got the car out here washed. It was actually very easy since the car was already clean. But we have a ton of work to do on the hood, a ton of work to do on the front end, especially around the headlight buckets. We've got a lot of poor mask jobs that we're going to try and hide. This little area is still pretty opaque. This area looks pretty good, but we got a couple runs around here, around the lock cylinder. Honestly, orange peel is not so bad since the painter did do a wet sand on it, and I got another hole in my hose. Nice. And then I was going to show you the wing, but this thing is spraying water all over the place. So I'm going to go ahead, shut the water off, and then re-dry the car again. Okay, leak fixed. The wing, we'll probably need to do a little bit of wet sanding. There's a ton of garbage in it. I don't know how good we're going to be able to get it, but yeah, we just have, there you can literally see it casting a shadow. Or actually no, it's just one super long piece of trash in the clear coat. So hopefully we can sand a lot of that stuff out. The water, again, it was really clean. So since we had already washed the car once, we got a lot of that dust and overspray off of it. So I'm gonna push this car back in, get it up on jack stands nice and high. Again, this car is very low, so we want to get it to a nice comfortable working level where we can see the lower area a lot better. That way we're not crouching down and laying on the ground while trying to polish this thing. And then in the meantime, I'll wait for my buddy. He should be here probably in the next 20-30 minutes. So just in time to get this thing going. All right, I got the car nice and high into a nice workable area. Now we can actually be able to kind of, if we squat down, we can actually see like any issues with the car. We can have the door more at working eye level. Again, like we'll definitely have the roof at working eye level if we lower the car, but sometimes you'll miss a lot with the doors and the fenders and the lower half of the car. So it is kind of nice. It'll save our backs and stuff like that. And I kind of just noticed it's a little bit crooked. So I think I got to go fix one of those jack stands in the back, get the car nice and level. Because I definitely don't want this thing falling off. But now that the car is kind of dried, we can kind of start seeing a lot of that just opaqueness, or if that's the word, or just kind of like it's just not as shiny in real life. The camera's is having a hard time picking it up, but just all along this area, it's just not shiny at all. It looks like it was wet sanded, but it just wasn't finish buffed. Again, it doesn't look like it was that aggressive of a sanding, so I don't think we should have much issue with getting those scratches out. This trim, I'm gonna have it removed once I get the windshield replaced. I just found out it was $300, so it's not that bad. But this windshield is so bad. Just running my hand across it, I can feel a ton of sharp just spikes all over it. And this thing was a pain in the ass to see at night. So just because of all those little miniature rock chips. The rear window, I think I'm gonna go ahead and try and hit it with like the buffer or something to help clean it up. Just because there is a ton of like overspray and stuff on it, like this right here. I don't know what that is. I think that's more overspray. Even on the inside, there's some as well, because I believe he removed the hatch. So I'll be doing all of that. In the meantime, I'll be tossing in some door sills. That way, while we're wet sanding, we don't end up with a mess like we did before with the seats. So hopefully those door sills protect any kind of leaks inside the car. I'll go ahead and start with the hatch, then get the doors on. Meanwhile, I'll wait for my buddy to show up. Okay, so we started going ahead and giving the car a quick polish. Everything's coming out here, but it looks like the hood was not wet sanded prior to. So you can just see super bad orange peel. So we're going to try and hit it with some 1500 wet sand and see how this little area softens up. And hopefully we can get a lot of that orange peel out. All right, this is after wet sanding it, so you can really see how much this orange peel it is. So that was just a quick little pass. We'll give it a buff, see how it looks afterwards, and then if it needs another pass, we'll go through it. So we'll just go really slowly with it. It's those crazy accents.
Yeah. It's like when you hear someone say dude, you're from California.
Yeah. So all right, so we go from wet sand over to here, so we still got a lot of orange peel, so we could probably give it maybe a little bit more pass, or I don't even know. What do you think?
Yeah, give it one more pass. Should be fine.
Cool.
It'll clean up really well.
Yeah, so we can really see that a lot of that orange peel is starting to really come off. I'm just afraid of burning through, so I'm just gonna leave a little bit of it on there. It's not too much. So we went from this over to this, and then of course the fender's a lot better, but I think that in the sun it won't be as noticeable, you know?
Yeah.
So cool. All right, well, I'll do the other side meanwhile you do the rest. All right, well, my buddy David is over there working on the paint. I decided to wet sand the wing, and it is, dude, it is just trash city. So all these little circles here is just trash that's embedded underneath the paint, or underneath the clear and the paint. I tried knocking them down so they're not as noticeable, but it is what it is. So we're gonna try and buff this out, see if it's possible. Hopefully I did not take off too much, because yeah, I don't know how thick it was. I tried doing my best to keep a light hand and then keep using like clean paper, because that 1500 goes quick. Yeah. So damn, it's actually looking like way glossier now. But yeah, you can definitely tell where like he ruined it when he was like buffing it, because this door had just a bunch of bullshit. But
well, again, this is just the first cut, but This should clear up most of the trash.
Yeah.
And then with the high polish, with the high polish, it should clean it up pretty well.
Oh yeah. But it's looking glossy now, like really nice and glossy. And this is just the first pass, right? We still got what? Are we gonna do 2 more to the blue, or are we should we stop at the black? On the black pad.
Which one?
Since I got the I got all the way to the blue pad.
We'll probably end up doing one to the black pad.
Okay. Yeah, because I think like the blue pad's a little bit too much for the paint.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm fine with stopping at on the black pads.
Yeah. Yeah, because this will remove most of the imperfections.
Mm-hmm.
Remove a lot of the residue, a lot of the holograms. At least now with this, we should be able to come back and do a nice final polish and kind of basically remove holograms, buff out most of the high scratches, and basically end up with a nice, pretty good gloss on it. Give it a nice little paint job, at least a two-step correction.
Yeah, and yeah, it is looking a lot better, a lot better.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, by removing most of the actual bumps, scratches, and the buffing the haziness of the paint, which most painters leave behind because they tend to wet sand with 3000. So.
Hell yeah.
So at least we knocked off most of the rough stuff. Now it's just a matter of doing a high polish and making it shine.
Sweet. Oh yeah. All right. Yeah, we still got the whole trunk, the roof. We'll probably put the car on the ground to do the roof and the rest of the hood, right?
Right.
Okay. But yeah, I even wet sanded all around here a little bit. Knock off those, like, really, they were just sharp corners. Like, you could feel it. Like, it almost feels like a razor's edge, but did my best to knock them down. Hopefully I didn't punch through anything. And then we got the wing. So, still, lots of work to do. Alright, so you just got done buffing this side, and this is the side that I was telling you that it was super, like, hazy. This little area too. Everything's just coming out really, really glossy. So really starting to see that, like, nice deep blue color that the camera is just very difficult to catch it on camera, but we're starting to get that shine back in there. So I cannot wait to actually be able to see this thing out in the light and see if we miss any, like, little mini spots here and there, but I think it's going to come out great. So here, you just did a quick pass on the quarter panel, and it's coming out great. You're starting to see all the little metallics coming in. There's still a little bit of swirl marks in there that's got to come out, but all that stuff will come out on the next stages. It looks awesome. All right, and then this is after, what is this? Stage 2?
Stage 2.
Stage 2. So this is the black pad with the lightest cut that's we used. So the swirl remover with the medium pad, and then we're actually getting a lot of like just glossiness back in. There's a little weird spot that's going on right there with the door, but it is super glossy now. Super glossy. Everything's looking great now. So now all we gotta do is finish doing the hood, the bumper, and then the whole driver's side. And then we can put the car down on the ground, do the roof, and then finish doing the wing, because we have not cut that one yet. So, but the glossiness came back a ton. Now it actually looks like it's fresh paint. Right. Before it looked like shit, but it's looking great. You can still see a little bit of the orange peel in there, but I think it's fine. I think it looks way better than it did before. Once it's in the sun, like, you're not gonna be able to see any of that. No, you're not gonna be able to see none of that.
Really nicely.
Yeah, and then the hood came out awesome. Like all that, it was like really orange peely. The camera shows it a lot more than in real life. Yeah. Honestly, the camera like really focuses on it, but in real life, like, you barely even see it. Just that little bit of wet sanding like really makes a huge difference on just how solid.
Definitely a 10-footer.
Yeah, it's definitely a 10-footer now. So
Yeah, 20 feet, you can look at this really nice. 10 feet, it looks really nice. But before, at 30 feet, you're like, ugh, what happened to it?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. So after this, we'll finish cutting it. We'll put it on the ground. We'll wash it, and then tomorrow I'll go ahead and do the what's it called, the ceramic coat on it. All right. Meanwhile, David goes ahead and finishes up the rest of the car, which is looking great. That shine is really starting to look really deep, except for all the little nibs that are inside the paint. I'm gonna go ahead and fix my oversprayed exhaust. So try to make these look good. I have 000 steel wool that I'm gonna try using with a little bit of water. This is just straight water in here. Maybe even a little bit of brake clean. Seeing if that will eat through some of this overspray and get it off. All right, well, that cleaned up a ton. So unfortunately, you can see where he was probably sanding the car and just hit the exhaust with the orbital, because you can see all the little pigtails. Where that was definitely from like an orbital grinder, but this is the side I cleaned. That had all that overspray, literally spotless. It almost looks like he tried sanding off something on the exhaust. If it's not one thing, it's another, but we'll keep doing what we can to polish this out and see what, how much we can clean these up.
don't do.
Some sketchiness, but so we're currently in the middle of buffing the headlights just because they just looked horrible. So here's our before, a little bit of a wet sand and a polish, and then this is our after with just hitting it really quick with 1,000. I know I still have a like very minor little rock chips in there, but once we wash them up, it's all gonna come out, and you're just not even gonna be able to see it, honestly. So they came out pretty much brand new. So let me wet sand, polish this one, and then we should be done.
The line.
Yeah.
The problem is how to take it off without fucking picking up the rest of the car.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, the whole car just is like buffing off. Like, holy crap! Like, even in video, like, come look at this in video, David. Yeah, like before, it didn't look like this. But so, final thoughts. ¿Qué crees?
You know what? It came out good for as bad as it was. I would say this is one of the top 5 cars that I've had to bring back to life to a point. I'm happy it came back.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you don't get lucky.
Yeah, and then I was pretty much to the point where I was ready to just send this thing off to go get painted again. I would have to sell the Supercharger and maybe the Subaru, but at least it'll be good for a little while till I can save up for another paint job again. And then the wing, like you probably saw the wing earlier when it was all wet sanded like crazy, and again it's just all glass now. So all those scratches came out. So that wing just came out killer. So at the end we ended up using essentially all 4 pads. So we had 2 white and 2 of the black ones, just because it kind of gets saturated over time, and especially with the temperature changing on us. So we had to keep changing our technique the whole way. So what's next? Just a quick wash and we can do ceramic?
Quick wash, ceramic, clean all the gutters, take a brush, some warm water, remove all the compound.
Yeah, we got a lot of compound that came in
remove some
here.
of the polymers and the waxes that came with the polish and the compound creams. Then after that, ceramic coat it and then send it off to the races.
Oh yeah, and that's exactly where we're gonna go with this thing. Yeah, tomorrow I'll go ahead and wash it tonight, and then tomorrow I'll do the ceramic coat.
Yep.
But there it is, super glossy now. There are some little areas here and there, and it's the paint job. We can't do anything about it. It's like in the color blue. It's not even in the clear coat. But again, windshield is gonna go into the trash. I am gonna call Safe Light, and they can give me a whole new one. I think it was like $300 on the online quote, so it's not bad. All right, cool. So we'll call it a night here, and then after this, I'll go ahead and wash it tonight, and then tomorrow I'll do the ceramic coat. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and start with the trunk. So I'm gonna be using 2 different color towels. And when you're doing this, just get a whole pack of brand new towels and then just throw them away. Don't reuse these. because this stuff will harden and essentially make this thing stiff as a board once it's hardened on there. So I already did a pass of alcohol, and of course this stuff, it's a little does a lot. So just a couple little drops, just to, I'm gonna add a little bit extra than I normally would, just to kind of saturate the paper for now. Put this somewhere else, and essentially we will just be wiping this on in a grid fashion, where we will go one way, add a layer this way, and then we will go top down. There was a mosquito on my arm right now, and I have to essentially not freak out. So essentially we're going to be doing this. We're going to be working at one small block at a time. And this is where you definitely want to have like a nice light. You want to apply this to every square inch. So that's why you kind of go both ways. So you essentially ensure that you have leveled it off completely. So I'm going to start off with just half the trunk, and then give this about a minute or so. You will start seeing it sweat, so it's only going to absorb so much, and then it can't essentially adhere to itself once it kind of starts putting that layer. We will be doing 2 layers, and then once we start seeing that little bit of rainbow effect, we will go back with a rag and essentially buff it. So I'll give this thing about a minute, buff it out, and then we'll see if we can see a little bit of a difference. So you can already start seeing the difference and just how deep the color is with the ceramic coat. So I only did half the trunk. This has isopropyl alcohol wipe down, and then this is with the ceramic coat. So you can just see how much deeper the blue is here that the camera is actually being able to pick up versus here. There you go. All right, and then after buffing, you can kind of see here, I kind of buffed a little bit of the material onto this side, but in person, and see if I can kind of catch the camera glare, right around there is where the line's at. So this area already has a layer of ceramic coat. It'll help keep dust, debris, water from sticking to it. So it'll just add a layer of protection, especially with the UV rays, all that stuff on the trunk. So again, I did a test pass here because all this ugliness is going to be covered by the spoiler anyways. So if I messed up, it's not going to be as noticeable. So just wanted to give you guys that little bit of difference of non-protected versus protected. The camera isn't picking it up as much as in person, but this just has a way deeper, more glossier look and way deeper blue in there, where the light is really reaching that blue instead of giving you more of a like a hazy dark color. So now to do the entire car just like this. So painstaking process. Pay attention to where you're at. That way, work in a grid pattern. Only work, in a small square at a time. And after a couple hours, you should have the entire car done. All right, and then this is after these ceramic coats. I don't know if you can notice it, but the car is got so much more colored depth in it, and it's just that much more glossier. It almost looks like I put a layer of wax on the entire car. Everything is just, more of a mirror finish after the ceramic coat. So it was very noticeable after I hit it with the alcohol wipe. It kind of dulled out the paint again because maybe either the soap or the buffing compound maybe had a little bit of oil in there that kind of gave it that like false wax. So probably once I wiped it with the alcohol, it took all that stuff off. But once we put the ceramic coat on, it literally brought it all back. And essentially this is permanent from here on forth for about the next 2 to 3 years, depending how well it's taken care of. So from here on, it's got one nice coat. I'm gonna let it sit, let it fully cure, and then after that, I'll come back and do another coat. I think I might have enough in that bottle to do a full coat. I'll probably just hit all the big areas that really matter and not worry about so much about the small details, just to really make sure I get the entire paint. And if I miss a small spot, maybe I'll come back and I'll run over it on the second coat. So this is where it's at. Gonna let it chill, and I'll go ahead and go do something else. Meanwhile, this thing cures. So, but looking very, very glossy from where we started yesterday. Just that depth of the color is really starting to come out. Unfortunately, we did have a small burn through. It is what it is. The paint was just way too thin right there. I even saw it when it happened. Literally, as soon as he passed right there, it just killed it. So these were the areas that we saw earlier that the painter sanded in. I think he just sanded way too thin, or laid the paint just way too thin right there. So that's why I'm trying to protect it as much as I can, because I know this paint job is very, very thin. So it might not be a forever paint job, but we can definitely make it last a little bit longer and give it a little bit more of a fighting chance to look good and stay looking good. All right, so after giving it like maybe I think like an hour or so, I did a second coat. It went by a lot faster because I was doing a lot bigger panels, since, you know, the whole car was already clean. It did get a little bit of dust, so you just got to kind of watch out for like any kind of little dust and stuff like that, just because it comes up. So I just gave it a quick wipe down, gave it a big old coat, gave it, I think it was like 1 to 5 minutes depending how warm it is on the instructions for the Ceratec Cerakote. Did the whole car, and it just looks super, super, super glossy. You get that like nice mirror effect now on the entire car, so I can't wait to actually see this thing in the sunlight. So next step is get a new windshield for the car so we can get the windshield trim. We got to restore the windshield wipers. I got to install the headlights that we cleaned up and put on just a whole ton of trim. I even have hood struts. I have a brand new set of hood pins from UPR. Those look sick. Antenna delete kit, just the whole nine. So I gotta continue to reassemble the car, so I'll do that next episode. So just wanted to show you guys the whole paint correction process. It was a ton of work. Hopefully I got enough in there to show just how much it was. But yeah, it was a ton of work. So I think yesterday we spent about 7 hours on the paint, and then I spent about another 2 to 3 hours today. So it takes a long time, and we didn't even go all that crazy. We didn't wet sand the whole entire car. So if you're going to be doing a 2-step correction, set aside an entire weekend completely to do this, because it takes a lot of time. And then I kept finding like little spots here and there that needed a little touch-up buff, but then at the end I just kind of quit caring, just because, I mean, it's not perfect. I just wanted to look halfway decent. So there it is. If you guys like how it came out, let me know. Any questions, comments, concerns, just put them down in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. So yeah, it looks a whole lot better. So deuces.